Hey gardeners, today I'm going to be giving you all the best tips and tricks to have the most successful carrot harvest you've ever had. So let's dig in. Now, the first thing that you want to be aware of if you want to grow carrots is the proper time of year. Carrots are a cool season vegetable, meaning that the best time to plant them is going to be in the spring or the fall. They don't take heat very well, and they have a tendency to bolt in the summertime when it's too hot. Bolting means that they send up a big flower stalk and their new goal is to reproduce for the next generation, so those flowers will create seeds. When that happens, the carrot themselves are no longer good to eat because all the energy went into the flower stalk, and now your carrots are going to be a little woody and not taste as good. Now that you know the right time of year to grow carrots, we need to get into our soil conditions. Carrots are a taproot, so they need soil that is loose and well draining. I like to add about 2 to 3 inches of fresh compost before I start any new crop, which gives it lots of lovely nutrition. And you want to make sure that your soil is free from any large rocks, any compaction, or any big pieces of wood. If you've ever seen those carrots that look kind of wonky, or forked in the middle, or kind of growing just not like a carrot should grow, it's usually because there was something in the soil that blocked them from growing straight down. Before I plant out my seeds, I like to add just a little bit of an all-purpose organic fertilizer and some worm castings. This is the only time I'm going to be fertilizing in the season because you don't want to over-fertilize your carrots. If you give them too much fertilizer, especially fertilizer high in nitrogen, they are going to focus on big leafy growth, which is not what you want since the root is what you're eating. So if anything, focus on a fertilizer that's either well-balanced or one that has higher potassium and phosphate levels. So I'm going to add some of that fertilizer in. And some of my worm castings. Now you just want to mix the fertilizer into the top inch or so of the soil here. Now that you've prepped your soil, it's time to get to the fun part, which is actually sowing the carrot seeds. There's a few ways that you can do this. If you want to channel your inner chaos gardener, you can totally do that. I've done this in the past where I've just taken a handful of seeds and broadcast them on top of the soil surface. Then I took a little bit of soil and then I broadcast the soil on top of the seeds so that way they had contact with the soil. You can also dig out little trenches, nothing too deep, just take your hand or your finger, make a little bit of an indent in the soil, and then you can sprinkle your seeds in there. That works perfectly well too. Then just lightly cover the seeds with some soil. I've done both of those other methods in the past and they work really well, but right now I'm kind of on this square foot gardening kick, so that's what I'm going to be doing today. Square foot gardening is just a fun way of organizing your garden to make the most out of the space you have. So I've got this little planter tool that I really love. For carrots, you can fit 16 carrots per square foot. So I'm just going to mark my square foot here and then go in with this little tool and make 16 indentations in the soil. Those are the red dots here on this seeding square. If you want to learn more about square foot gardening, let me know. I'm happy to do an entire episode on it. But in this case, I'm going to be focusing just on carrots. So I'm going to make 16 holes in the soil surface and get your carrots. If you want to know what I'm growing, I will drop all of the carrot varieties in the description below so you can check them out. These ones are tender sweet and are an orange carrot. Now, carrot seeds are pretty finicky and they're very tiny. So I would recommend sowing more than you think you need, and then you can go out and thin at a later date, and I'll tell you all about that. So in this case here, I'm going to drop 2 carrots per cell. And then I'm going to very lightly cover them with soil. Carrots only need about 1/4 to 1/8 of an inch of soil coverage. Okay, now here is the biggest tip for success that I have for carrots. Carrot seeds are pretty delicate and they will not germinate if they get dry at any point in time during the germination period. And they can take a really long time to germinate, up to 25 days. So what you want to do is grab yourself a piece of cardboard like this one here and lay it on top of your carrot seeds after you've watered in your carrots. The next thing you want to do is you want to wet your cardboard and then weigh it down with rocks. What this cardboard is going to do is it's going to keep the seeds nice and dark because carrots like darkness for germination, and it's going to keep your soil really nice and moist. Because carrots are sown almost at surface level, the top eighth or a quarter inch of your soil can dry out really quickly. Now, since carrots take a while to germinate, you have a little bit of a waiting period. You can give yourself about 5 days or so after you've sown your carrot seeds. And then you want to come and check on your carrots to look for germination. Once you see germination on your carrot seeds, you want to take off the cardboard and allow them to get the sunlight that they need, but still water every day until you see most of them germinate to make sure you get any of those last stragglers. Now that all your carrot seeds have germinated, let's talk about your watering schedule. You want to water carrots infrequently and deeply, as opposed to often and just about the top inch or two of your soil. Carrots are a taproot, and what do roots do? Their whole job is to go seeking moisture to water the plant. If you are only watering the top inch or two of the soil and you're doing it often, that root is going to have no motivation to go searching for water. But if you wait until the soil dries out just a little bit and then you go and do a deep water, that root is going to go all the way down to find that moisture, since there's not a lot right at the soil surface. And that's how you get those really beautiful, long, straight carrots. Now, from this point on, carrots are pretty hands-off. The only other thing you're going to want to do is come in and thin your seedlings once they get to an okay size. You're looking for several true leaves. Don't come and thin them right as they start to sprout, because you want to be able to pick your best seedlings out of the batch. Carrots need at least an inch of space to be able to get true to size. So if you have two right next to each other, you're going to want to thin one out. Now, I mentioned earlier in the episode that you can sow carrot seeds in the spring or in the fall, but the fall is one of my favorite times to sow seeds, and here's why. Carrots actually get sweeter after a frost. This is because the plant sends sugars down into the root, right? And the root is what you eat. And sugars create a lower frost point. So they are protecting themselves, but your benefit is the carrot is sweeter and more delicious. And because it's not really hot outside and you're not battling summer temps, I actually kind of just come and harvest as I need them and use the ground sort of as a cellar, like a root cellar storage, since I live in Texas and I don't have any of that. Now, carrots are not like beets and radishes where they will show their shoulders when it's time for harvest, so you know how big they are. For carrots, you're going to have to dig a little bit around the edges of the carrots to feel its shoulders to see if you think it's ready for harvest. Always just plan on pulling one carrot at first so you can kind of get a sense for if your carrots are ready or not. And if it's a little difficult to pull, something that I like to do, so let's pretend this is a carrot and it's in the ground. What I will do is I will press down on the carrot a few times because you're trying to break up the roots, the fibrous roots that are around your carrot. Push it down into the soil, wiggle it a little bit, and then pull it up. If you are trying to pull your carrot and it's not wanting to come up, you may accidentally snap it. So just be careful with that. And a little fun fact about carrots, the dye in carrots is very effective at dyeing other things. So I like to grow colored carrots as well, just because they're fun to eat. And the purple carrots will dye my hands purple for about a day. So if you don't want carrot dye all over your hands, maybe wear gloves as you're prepping them. Or you can use that natural carrot dye for fun things like dyeing eggs for Easter without having to use any artificial colors. And there you have it. Those are my best tips and tricks for success when it comes to growing carrots, and I hope that you have an amazing harvest at home too. If you dig this episode, don't forget to give it a like and subscribe if you haven't already. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next one.